Hello, it's Dawn McPhee here from Dawn's Inspirations. Many of you would have seen me share this over on Create and Craft yesterday, which is a lovely little wedding invitation. It could be an invitation for anything at all. And I was showcasing this lovely, bright, smooth glitter card that Pink Frog has started doing. It's got a nice coating on the back, it's just plain. So I thought it was perfect for wedding invitations, and that's what I've done with this. And the nice thing as well is you can actually put this through your printer. I put this through my printer here at home, just on a back feed, okay, and it's printed off absolutely beautifully. So I've had a few requests on measurements and how this was made, so I'm going to make it in the same cardstock. So I've got my lovely cardstock here. I don't know whether it's even picking up that lovely shine, but that's what I'm going to use. And I'm going to get my scoreboard. I've got centimetre scoreboard because I did the project in centimetres. If you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, you know, just press that subscribe button. Then you won't miss out on anything that's happening in my crafty world. Now, I like to personally score on the reverse side, even though this is really smooth. Like many of the specialist cards, I prefer to score if I can on the reverse. I know with A3 that we're looking at here, obviously your cardstock is too long for your scoreboard and you have to sometimes flip it over. But that's not a problem. So we're going to start by scoring on the short side. Okay, so I'm going to score on the short side at 20 centimetres. So I'm just going to drag this down. So this is 20 centimetres, and we talked already, I'm going to have to flip my card just so I can catch the other end here. So as I said, I'm looking at A3, and for though I know in America and other places in the world it can be a different size, so let me just bring up the size in centimetres because I know people will ask. So the overall size of the card is 29.5, and the length is, I've got here 41.5. Okay, so if that was inches, the length would be 16.5, and the width would be 11.75. Okay, so that gives you an idea. So on the short sides, I've got my 20 centimetre score line, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just burnish that first. Now, the nice thing about this bright white smooth glitter card from Pink Frog is that it does score absolutely beautifully. It's so smooth, it's like a glitter, but it's like encapsulated, it's not rough, and that's what enables us to do all the lovely techniques on it. So I just thought straight away wedding invitations. So the next thing we're going to do is on the long side, so we're going to put these gussets in. Okay, so you will have noticed I have put gussets in, and this means when you've got your invitation with lots of bits in it, it just sits nicely. So I'm going to go in now on the long side, and I'm going to score at 15 centimetres down to that first score line. So I'm going to do 15 down to that first score line, and then I'm going to do 15.5 down to that first score line, and then I'm going to do 31, which obviously I can't do because my scoreboard doesn't allow. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to score. Right, so what we'll do is, because my scoreboard's not going to allow, I've done my 15 and I've done my 15.5, 15 and a quarter, yeah, 15.5. I'm going to carry my 15.5 all the way down to the bottom. So the 15 I've taken to the score line, but the 15.5 I've taken all the way down to the bottom. So this is going to be our middle panel, that we're going to make this pocket. So the first thing I will do, so we don't get confused, is I'm going to flip it over. I've gone down to the 15.5, and then I'm going to take this one over, let's take it to 14. But what I'm doing is I'm making that little gusset for the pocket. Okay, so this just means what I can now do, because I've got that 15.5 score, I can fold this. Okay, I can give that a little burnish. So then that means I can pop that back into my scoreboard, butt up. Okay, so that's the 15.5, so that's scored butt up. And then I'm going to do another one at 15.5 down to the first score, but actually 15 right the way down, because that's going to be the second side of our pocket, but 15.5 only to the first score line. Okay, so you've got 2 score lines, hopefully that's picking that up. So you've got your 15, 15.5. 15 goes all the way down, 15.5 stays there. So now let's just do some burnishing with these. So I'm going to just do those gussets as well. Just take your time with the gussets. Sometimes I find it easier just to put it in your hand and try and sort of smooth it over. But you will notice that you don't get any cracking on this cardstock. It is superb quality. Okay, the last thing I need to do is another line here. And because obviously it's not going to fit in my scoreboard, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick my tape straight on to make my pocket. That will make life a lot easier. So I'll tell you what, let's move this scoreboard out of the way. Because all we're doing with this outer gusset on the front here is this is going to make the pocket. So I've just got some 12mm double-sided tape here. Doesn't matter really what size you've got, as long as you've got a fold over piece for the pocket to house all your little wedding instructions or party instructions or baby shower. It could be anything at all. So if I get my little snips and snip that off there, that's it. And I'm going to do exactly the same on this side. So this is going up to the 15cm line. Okay, the nice thing I felt with this was because you got A3, it makes it a nice smooth piece of, like, for an invitation or anything. It's not like you're joining lots of card together. So I've got my 2 gussets there. So let's just fold this one. I didn't do this one, did I? So let's just fold this one. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is cut up now where I put my red line tape. So this line here, as long as you've got your 15cm across, this little bit here with your tape doesn't matter. As long as you've got enough to fold back. Okay. So I'm just going to snip that up, that line there, and then with my scissors I'm going to cut off this bottom piece because we don't need that. And I would not be throwing this away because it is beautiful card. I'll be keeping that for mats and layers or die cuts, that type of thing. And I'm just going to do a little mitre just on there. I'm not too worried about the top because I'm going to show you a little bit of a trick with doing the pocket on this. So I'm going to do exactly the same on this one. It's lovely that many of you enjoyed the show yesterday. And I know it's very hard to write all the instructions and measurements down when the show's going on, and I just thought with a few requests it was just easier just to film it and make it along with you. Okay, so that's my start of my invitation, and then this is the pocket that's going to go on the inside. Okay, it's hard to see in the white, but all will become very clear. So let me have a look at what I've got prepared. So obviously for demonstration purposes on TV we have to be prepared. So I've gone ahead already and printed out just on my top loading printer. I've just got a Canon domestic top loading printer, and I thought let's try printing this out in colour, and it printed on beautifully. But obviously you just need to test your printers out. I would definitely go top loading. Don't feed it through on your feeding sheet, definitely not, but give it a go. I was really surprised how well it sort of took, if you like. Now what I did with my pocket to make everything look a smooth transition, I actually first of all attached my back sheet inside my pocket. Okay, so I just need to trim that down just a little bit. It just gives a nice smooth finish and a professional look. And I think at the end of the day, when you're doing something like this, once you've done your first one and got exactly what you want to put in the pockets, how you want to have it, you will know then what you can do. See, I'm testing that again. I still need to take just a slither off. I'd rather just take bits off at a time, because you can't stick it back on once you've cut it off, and when we're using this beautiful specialised card we don't want to waste it. Now that's better, that sits in there nicely. So what I've done for mine is this mat here, let me get my ruler so I can give you some measurements. I've matted mine onto a piece of that lovely graphic card, mirror cards. So this is 14.5 centimetres by 19.5 centimetres. So that means you've got a nice little border all the way round. So I've trimmed this middle piece now down to, I bet that's just under 14.5 centimetres. Okay, but again that will be 19.5 centimetres. So let's get this stuck down in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of red line tape, a bit narrower, just on here, because that makes that my life a little bit easier with attaching this. So we'll just put a piece on here with the snips. You know, these make nice little gifts as well. You could put photos in them or anything, you know, memorabilia. You know, if you've been to someone, you know, you've been out for the day and you just want to do something a little bit different to say thank you, we had a lovely day. It's just a nice way to share, really. So I always like to burnish my red line tape because that pushes the glue into the fibres of the paper. So then if I take that off, and it also makes it easier, as you can see, when you're taking it away. So if I lay my card then inside the pocket, making sure I'm in the centre, and then just flap that back on itself. So that means your pocket's got that nice smooth look. Okay, now what I did on mine was I did do a little bit of a decoration, okay, which you can quite easily do. And I'm just wondering, I've stuck mine down, how sturdy it is, because I didn't actually burnish. So I'm wondering if I can still, yeah, I think I can get this off and we can still do a bit of decoration. Now when you're doing the decoration, this cardstock does die cut absolutely beautifully, as you would have seen from the show. Okay, it does die cut absolutely beautifully. So you could use your edgeable dies to do a nice bit of decoration. Okay, so I've just done a V, but you could use your edgeable dies, but I'm just going to go in with a V. So I've got a piece of card I've cut here from my front pocket that I've pen lined a V on, but a nice edgeable fancy die on there would look beautiful. Just a half circle. You could do anything you wish, really. So if I lay that on there, so if I find my centre point, so I'm going to find my centre point, which is there. I do a lot by eyeball, but that's just the way I roll. So I'm just going to score the line. I could have used a pen, so I'm just using my embossing tool just to score that line, because then I can cut that. Okay, so I'm going to come down here and cut that. So sorry if you've already done this, but I'm hoping with this video you're watching it first before you do it. There we go. So I've just done a very sort of basic V. It just keeps it all in the same place. I'm just going to take that last little bit off, that's bugging me. There we go. Okay, that means I can flap that back and you've got that basic V. Okay, so I can stick that back over there. Then I'm going to give this a bit of a burnish. Take the red liner tape off. And I'm going to go in with my EVA glue, because you've got that nice quick grab. So your EVA glue from Pink Frog is marvellous for this, because it does allow you to have that quick grab. I'm not too concerned. I know you've got a gap here. I'm not worried about that. I'm just putting the glue on this back bit of mirror. Okay. And then if I fold that back over, that should sit nicely with your white edge round your mirror. So that sits nicely, and just give that a burnish, making sure all that tapes down. And then if you've got glue seeping out, you can just give that a little rub with a towel. That's not a problem at all. And then so for the inside of the pocket there, I just printed these out again on that lovely glitter card. So I just put guest information, wedding wishes, so if you had a gift list or money donating to a charity, that would sort of information to go on there, and then your RSVP. So if this was me doing it as an actual wedding, I would actually print all this out on my computer straight away, no problem at all. And all I did was cut my A3 down to A4 and feed it through the top load of my printer. So let me give you a few measurements. So my guest information card is 14.5 centimetres by 19 centimetres. So that should fit then nicely inside my pocket. I think I might have to trim this one down. Let me just check my measurements on that. Might be a little bit wider than I anticipated. Yes, it is a little bit wider than I wanted. So I'm going to go and trim that down. Okay, so mine was just under 14 by 19, so that means my others I'll have to trim down. So that fits in the pocket, but can you see, you can still see that halo of glitter going round as well. Okay, this one might need a trim down as well, so let me just trim that down. I've already punched holes in these, so you can decorate with your decorative corner punches. That's always good to do. I'm literally just taking the tiniest amount off. So that would be the next one that would fit in my pocket. I think even with this weight cardstock, I've managed to get 3 in here quite nicely. Not a problem at all. Okay. And you might only want to put 2 in. You may not need to put 3 in. It doesn't really matter. Okay, this is where you can make it personal to the event that you're actually doing. So let's get that one in. Might need to take a little bit more off that one. Let me just trim a little bit more off that one. You can see what I'm taking off. Just tiny little slithers. Let's go over a little bit more, Dawn. I didn't catch that then. Just tiny little slithers I'm taking off because I've already decorated the top piece there. Okay. So that can slide in there. And because this is smooth glitter card, it's nice that, yes, it goes through your printer, which is lovely, but it does lay so nicely as well. And I've done sort of different shades of the blue. I don't know whether the camera's picking that up. So let me glue my next piece on here. So again, this side I've done, let me check my measurements. So I've done my silver matte at 14.5 by 19.5. And then the choice is yours with the other bit. I just felt with a little bit of silver, it just broke it down a bit, made it look a little bit different. Okay. And again, I'm just sticking on with my EVA glue. And actually, before I stick that down, good spot, before I stick that down, need to get a magnet in situ. So, a bit of red liner tape. And I've got my magnets here ready. These are just normal thin, very thin craft magnets. Okay, so before I stick that down, I'm going to put a magnet in place. I'm going to go about there. Okay, so just pop your magnet down. I like to put it over with a bit of red liner tape to hold it in place. Peel that away, and this can go on the top. So I've got my little edge going all the way around. Where's my bone folder? Let me just burnish that down. See that magnet under there, you don't even know it's there. So that's that one. Okay, so let me get another magnet to put in place for this one. They're so thin. You see, you have to be careful you don't pick up 2. And it will find its space, okay, where it needs to be. And what I will do before I stick that down, I've got a piece of silver which has just dropped on the floor. A little bit more of this lovely holographic that I've got there. So this magnet is going to go under here. So to attach this, I'm going to take a bit of red line tape. Let your magnet find its space, if you like. Doesn't matter wherever it will go back. Have that flat. Fold this over. Remember, you've got your gusset, so it's going to sit nice and neat. Okay, so fold that over, pick that up, and I just like to give that little burnish because that's holding that in place. And again, I've just cut myself a piece of the silver. Alright, so I've cut this at Let me just check for you. So that's 19, and then again I've just gone very plain, so I've just gone 9, and I've just done that same shape as I've got inside here. This again could be a lovely decorative edge. The choice is yours. Now that is my line where I'm going to be, but I want a nice white halo, so that is where I would stick it. Now I can stick it down and then just cut with my trimmer. However, if you go up a little bit more, so you do have that halo, make sure you got it where you want it central. And in fact, no, I won't use my pencil, I'm just going to use my tool just to do that straight line. Okay, and then I'll bring my ruler in just to extend the line. So this is, if you don't have fancy dies or edgeable dies, or you're doing this, you know, you don't have many craft supplies, you're a beginner, you can still achieve this very easily. And that is the whole thing about these projects, is it doesn't matter how many craft supplies you have, you can still do them. You can make them as fancy as you like, or as, I wouldn't say plain, I would say more classy, very crisp and clean as you like. So that is my 2 pieces cut off. Again, I'd keep these because I might die cut bits out on them. So then if I put this in place, it's hard to see with the white, I've got a nice border going around. So I would take my backing off here, put some glue on, again keeping with that EVA for construction, put in that in place, and I knew something had fallen, rolled under there, just getting in my way, the little critter thing. I'm going to just move this over. This is it, my red line tape is so sticky. Just going to move it because I wasn't happy with where it was. There we go, that's it. Just give that a little burnish down, and then if you've got a little bit of finger marks or glue, just rub that. I just keep a microfiber cloth close to my desk for wiping things like that down. So that's my magnet put in place, and then I've die cut myself a couple of the little bows. Again, these were the pink frog bows, which they're nice because they're, I think that it's nice because they're flat. So I've used the scraps again from my card and the mirror, and I've just put a gem on. So I'm going to position one inside my pocket there, just so it's not too fussy. It's just a little bit of decoration, but not too fussy. And then if I close this up, that nice crisp closure of the magnet, and then this I will position there. So that is my take on that wedding invitation made with the bright white smooth glitter card from Pink Frog. You would have seen me demonstrate with this on Create and Craft TV. Here's my original. Let's bring that in as well. So with my original, all I've done is just ink the edges, but I like it as it is, nice and plain. And then if I can get them out together, how classy does that look? Both the same, both very, you know, just having, this one's got ink, this one hasn't, choice is yours. But with that little magnet closure and having that little gusset, just means your project sits nicely when you've got everything inside. So I'm Dawn McPhee from Dawn's Inspirations. If you haven't pressed subscribe, please do. And pop over to Facebook and look out Dawn's Inspirations on Facebook, because that's my crafty corner of Facebook where you'll see all the events I'm doing, if I'm going to be anywhere, demonstrations, videos that are coming out, retreats, anything like that. That's where you'll find information. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.